Yes.
Okay. Anyway, this is a debate about accountability that will go on for a very long time, because the governors want to take credit for the good things. But when things go wrong, it is those guys who did it. You know, the discrepancy there is very...
Why do you focus on governors only? This is an institution. Where I'm seated is an institution.
But you're the head, the administrative head of that institution.
When you do something wrong here, you'll get fired.
Yeah. Yes.
It's not the head who will get fired.
But the head has to fire me.
Yeah.
If the head doesn't fire me,
he fires.
Then he goes, because what was he doing?
He fires you. But in government, we have to know. The other day, I listened to one of my colleagues, and he said they have to let 500 people go because of improprieties. Action is being taken. People are being punished. But maybe we're not doing it in the press. And in government also, unlike in the private sector, I can't just say I fired you here. I have to put you through a process which
Governor, the thing is, we're not saying that you fire people arbitrarily, but we are saying that you should oversee the work they're doing, because they are your employees first and foremost, your appointees. If they fail, it is your failure.
We are actually doing that.
Okay.
And as I said, let me take you back. This, the first year in the office, or it will take a bit of time, the systems, the capacities,
right,
the structures, the training, these are ongoing.
Okay.
So a few slippages may occur because we are just at that initial stage where we are working on a number of things, these things. Okay. And I'm asking every Kenyan, every institution, to work with us to build strong institutions, strong capacities, strong structures that will ensure that we deliver and deliver very well.
And that's why
I gave an example of the national government that after 50 years, we're still working on these things.
American did it in 200 years. Okay. When the controller of budget says you have spent money allocated to you in doing dubious things in terms of development, surely these are the ways of trying to make you, to check you, to build strong institutions.
Absolutely. And when they point out that, I will be held accountable for the specific thing pointed out. You get me? Not all the governors. Me as the governor of Nzoia will be held accountable for that aspect. Yes. And the fact that something wrong has happened in Nzoia doesn't make this whole system of governance wrong. I think that's what we need to understand.
All right, we had to initiate you into the controversy because you've not been outspoken on what is going on, just to get your perspectives on that. Let's now get down to the gist of our discussion, which is the food security in this country, and you being in charge of the county that is supposed to feed us, you know, so to speak. What is the county, your county government doing to ensure that Nzoia continues to feed this nation the way it has done?
Nzoia has traditionally been known as a food basket of Kenya, because in the past we produce up to 30% of our maize requirements in this country. But I want to point out, Mr. Makali, when I came to the office, I had to interrogate very seriously a number of issues. Nzoia has witnessed very serious productivity decline. Mm-hmm. In the past, we used to produce up to 30 acres, an average of 30 bags of maize per acre. It would go even up to 40. Right now, I had to interrogate the fact that we are now at an average of 10 bags per acre. What does that mean to the residents of Nzoia? It means we have gotten very poor because we rely mostly on maize farming. Secondly, we also realize that as much as we are a food basket, we are 62% food insecure. These were very, very serious challenges. I had to constitute a small committee, a team of experts, to look at this issue. It took them 3 months to give me the answer. We looked at the way we farm, the climate change, is it affecting us? We looked at a number of things, the fertilizer, is it affecting us? And we did soil testing. We sampled soils around the county. What we found out was a very sad story. The pH in the soil is between 3.5 and 3.9 across the county.
pH means to what, to the layman?
pH means the level of the nutrients in the soil. Yeah. I'm not an expert in this area. But it had gone to an extent that maize can no longer access the nutrients in the soil. And for Trans Nzoia, there are two reasons. Long monocropping, one of the reasons.
Maize.
The second issue is overuse of a fertilizer called DAP. The sad story to all this is DAP has been the flagship fertilizer for the Ministry of Agriculture. The ministry that is supposed to give us the advice, to give the farmers the advice. I was surprised to learn that as early as 2004, studies had been done and it had been established that soils were acidic. I am happy with the government now, the national government now, because it has also taken up this very seriously. The other day we saw His Excellency the President launching a program on fertilizer, and this issue of acidity came out very strongly. Now, what did we do as a county when we realized this? We had to develop an education program to advise the farmers to use non-acidifying fertilizer, NPK, SSP, there's one called Yaramila, which I'm not very familiar with, and there's another one called Mavuno, which has been blended. We need to move our country towards supplying fertilizer that responds to the needs of the soil.
Is this fertilizer available?
The rest,
yeah.
As I speak now, the stores in Trans Nzoia have about 50,000 bags of DAP, the fertilizer we don't need. And by the way, I had to write to the Cabinet Secretary and say, don't send us DAP. If you do, the recommendation is that you use DAP together with the lime or other products like black earth.
So you have wrong fertilizer in Kitale right now. Where is the right fertilizer?
Let me add that even NPK is also available and SSP is available. But the education to the Mwananchi, a local person in Kitale, when you say fertilizer, it's DAP and it's CAN. That's what they know.
Right.
Now, we need to educate our farmers to go for the right fertilizer. Actually, the best approach would have been to totally withdraw DAP. So when a farmer goes, they say, now this is the fertilizer that is available and is suitable for your condition. But even to leave DAP on our shelves,
looking at the farming,
is to mislead the farmers.
But is maize growing? I mean, there have been protests against maize growing. People are saying they want to switch from maize growing to sugarcane, which is also a problem in parts of Western Kenya.
Let me tell you, Mr.
People are looking at alternatives. What is
going to happen? Let me tell you, Mr. Makali. The national government has initiated a 1 million acre irrigation program. This 1 million will focus on maize and the sugarcane mostly. There will be other crops. Now, this is virgin land. Water will be available around the year. They can plant in time and harvest in time.
Right.
For example, this year it is anticipated that they could do 40 million bags against our demand, local demand of below 40 million bags. Now, if this maize is produced at a cheaper rate than the Trans Nzoia one, and the climate change is really treating us badly on the other side,
yes,
how will the maize from Trans Nzoia compete with this maize? Where will the farmers in those sides sell their maize? So our approach has been to address the issue of productivity, go into the issue of marketing. We want to build stores and the dryers where maize can go through a dryer and immediately go to be bought. To release even the farm to do other activities.
The question,
our farms are fallow for 5 months in a year. Right now, as I speak, there's no activity on the farm. Again, let me add this. If I employed you, Mr. Mtegi, I offered you a job, and I said I'll pay you once a year, would you accept that job?
Of course not.
Why have we subjected our farmers?
Okay, so the question then, in fact, the viewers and your constituents are actually asking, so what are you doing to make sure that the economic conditions of your people improve? Because as you said, the decline in maize means poverty for the people.
Let me go to that. I said we want to improve productivity on maize. We've launched an education program. We had already launched a subsidized program for fertilizer to subsidize 90,000 bags of fertilizer that is suitable for our condition.
And how is that?
We've already done it 2 weeks ago.
What are the specifics of that? Subsidize 90,000 bags, meaning you're going to pay how much and the farmer get it for how much?
We put in about 20 million shillings just to ensure that most of these other suitable fertilizers are below the 2,500. I am happy that the president has gone even as further to reduce most of this fertilizer to 2,000, making it even more affordable. That's one step we did. I've talked about marketing so that farmers can market their produce. We want to add value to our produce. We're looking for an investor to have a big plant to convert our maize into other products, animal feed. Now, did you know that some of our maize is milled as far as Mombasa? Yes. That is something that should not be there. Now, on the second avenue, my other team looked at what other things we can do. We have zeroed down on horticulture. Diversification is key here. That if you've been doing 10 acres of maize and you have been having 15 bags per acre, that's 150. We are telling you, with the right practice, you can reduce your acreage but still make even more bags from that. Now, release the rest of your land and you can put this under horticulture. Now, let me explain. That is, you wanted me to explain.
Yes, yes. I want to hear, and your people want to hear the practical things that you're doing. That is a good theoretical policy framework.
Yeah, I'm giving
that is the policy.
I'm moving forward.
The action part.
You have actually cut me from that. Now, the study on other horticultural crops is just being completed. Okay. And it has given us very clear indications on the other horticultural crops that we can encourage our people to plant.
Such as?
We've even gone...
Give examples. What can you grow?
Examples, the French beans, the bananas, tissue culture bananas, the plants called canola, which I have not seen myself, which is very good for oil and animal feeds. There are several others. So we want to document all this information with the cost of production and your gross margins. Then engage the farmers, and the farmers that will say, well, I'm volunteering, I want to do a certain crop. We've not stopped there. We've held initial discussions with the marketers, the exporters of some of these products. And we have agreed that at the next stage, they'll come join us so that we move to what we're calling contract farming. What is contract farming? Contract farming will mean that this marketer who needs a certain product will come and recruit the people. They'll enter into a contract.
To give you the farm inputs,
Yeah, I'll pick your crop. I may also even give you inputs.
Yes.
I'll train you, but I'll pick your product at this price.
Yes.
We are looking at this because...
So you're assured of the market.
Yeah, we want to create the market assurance.
Right, right.
And I believe if we launch that program and it's successful, it's going to revolutionize agriculture in Nzoia.
Yeah.
It's going to ensure that farmers have money in their pockets at any given time of the year, and that the household level is able to...
is going to improve.
To improve. That if you have money...
What are you saying? That Nzoia is going to cease from being the bread basket?
By the way, we don't want that
You
tag.
don't want that tag anymore.
You don't want it
We
anymore.
don't want that tag.
Yeah.
And it's not out of malice. I said 40 million bags are going to come from somewhere. What on earth would you call yourself a food basket?
There's a bit of frustration just reading from the feedback from the people out there from Kitale, Nzoia. They don't seem to be very impressed by your performance so far. In fact, the question is, and I would like to put this to you, what in terms of practical things, since you came into office, have you done? They're complaining about poor roads. Roads are muddy all over the place. Water is being sourced from neighboring counties. You can't even manage your own water in Nzoia. Things like those. So maybe just, outline some of the things you've done that your constituents may not know about.
Let me put it this way. When governors came in place, the expectations had been drummed up and they were very high. People expected popcorn type of development. You are in the office and development is popping up left and right. I want to put
it seems to be happening in Machakos.
I want to put it in context.
Yes.
Development funding started flowing in October. It's coming on a monthly basis, unlike the quarterly basis, the practice in government. We had to do planning. There's what they call project cycle for practitioners, and I have been at the African Development Bank for many years. The project from the idea, when you develop the idea, there's a period it's supposed to take before it matures, and you go to procurement, including budgeting. We actually settled in April. By the time we settle, we had to scramble to do a budget without the benefit of the planning.
Yes.
without the benefit of the planning. Now, as we were doing everything at the same time, we had to do the county integrated development plan without the expertise, without the necessary time. Now, it's out of that integrated development plan that we narrowed down on the things that we are supposed to do. Now, some of the things required a feasibility study, others required a design. You don't have the experts, you have to source for the experts, and all these things in most counties are ready, and you have seen a lot of procurement going on.
Yes.
A lot of procurement is going on because it's now that we are getting the people who are going to do these things.
Okay.
Coming back to Nzoia,
Yeah.
the person who, a few of the people like quoting things out of context, it's